Now let's move to speaking skill, your PowerPoint and oral presentation. Presenting your academic work is a skill, and like any skill, it proves with practice and preparation. This slide gives you 10 practical do's for oral presentations. Each one is paired with why it works, so you will understand not just what to do, but why it matters. Let's work through them. First, practice, practice, practice. Builds confidence and smooths out awkward phrasing. You have probably heard this before, but it's true. The more you rehearse, the more comfortable you become. You will catch phrases that sound awkward and you will get a feel for timing. Practice out loud. Don't just read in your head. Your mouth needs to get used to saying the words. Then, now your audience. Tailor your language and content to their level. Are you presenting to classmates, professors, or a general audience? Adjust your vocabulary, the amount of background you give, and even your examples. Speaking over people's heads or talking down to them both hurt your credibility. Then, start with a strong opening. Grab attention in the first 30 seconds. The beginning of your presentation sets the tone. You can open with a surprising fact, a question, a short story, or a bold statement. If you lose your audience in the first minute, it's hard to get them back. Then, speak clearly and slowly. Helps audience follow and understand. When we are nervous, we tend to speed up, but rushed speaker is hard to follow. Pause between sentences, articulate your words, and give your listeners time to process. Slowing down also makes you sound more confident. Make eye contact. Builds connection and trust with listeners. Eye contact shows you are engaged and confident. It turns a monologue into a conversation. Instead of starting at your slides or reading from notes, scan the room. Connect with individuals. It makes the audience feel included. Then, use gestures naturally. Adds energy and emphasizes key points. Standing still with your still with your arms at your sides looks stiff. Let your hands move naturally as you speak. Gestures can highlight important points, show relationship between ideas, and add energy. Just keep them natural. Avoid repetitive or distracting movements. Then, pause for emphasis. Gives audience time to absorb important ideas. A well-placed pause is powerful. After stating a key finding or a bold claim, stop for 2 or 3 seconds. It signals to the audience this matters. Pauses also give you a moment to collect your next thought. Then, prepare for questions. Shows expertise and thorough preparation. Anticipate what your audience might ask. Think about potential challenges, clarifications, or extensions of your work. If you have prepared, you will answer confidently. If you are caught off guard, it's okay to pause, repeat the question, and take a moment to think. Then time your presentation. Respect audience and stays within limits. Going over time is one of the fastest ways to lose goodwill. Practice with a timer and leave a little buffer for unexpected pauses or questions. If you are under time, that's usually fine. If you are over, you risk being cut off. Then end with a memorable conclusion. Leave the lasting impression. Don't let your presentation just trail off. Summarize your main point, return to your opening idea, or leave the audience with a thought provoking takeaway. The last thing you say is often what they will remember most. These 10 do's cover preparation, delivery, and audience engagement. If you focus on even half of them, your presentations will improve dramatically. Pick one or two to work on each time you present. Now let's look at the flip side, what not to do when you present. These are common pitfalls that can hurt even a well-researched presentation. If you avoid this, you will already be ahead of the game. Avoid read directly from your slides. Audience loses interest. You seem unprepared. Your slides are there to support you, not replace you. When you read them word for word, the audience wonders, why are you here? They can read faster than you can speak, so they tune out. Use your slides as visual cues. Talk about them, not at them. Then, don't speak too fast or avoid speaking too fast. Audience cannot follow your ideas. Nerves often makes us speed up, but a fast speaker leaves the audience struggling to keep up. Important points fly by and listeners give up. Slow down, it feels unnatural to you, but it sounds confident and clear to them. Avoid mumble or speak too softly. Audience struggles to hear and disengages. If people strain to hear you, they will stop trying. Volume is respect for your listeners. Project your voice, especially if you don't have a microphone. If you are soft spoken, practice breathing from your diaphragm to get more power. Avoid fill space with or like. Sounds unprofessional and distracting. Vocal fillers are verbal pauses that make you sound unsure. The good news, you can reduce them. Replace them with silence. A pause feels long to you, but to the audience it sounds thoughtful. Practice pausing instead of saying Then avoid turn your back to the audience. Breaks connection, audience cannot hear well. When you face the screen to read your slides, your voice projects away from the listeners. You also lose eye contact. Keep your body facing the audience, glance at the screen, then turn back. If you need to point, do it quickly and return. Avoid use too much text on slides. Audience reads instead of listening to you. A slide crammed with text invites the audience to read, and while they are reading, they are not listening to you. Your job is to speak, not to be a narrator for a document. Use bullet points, keywords, images, or charts. Let your voice deliver the full explanation. Avoid ignoring the time limit. So shows disrespect for audience and organizers. Going over time is one of the fastest ways to lose goodwill. It forces the next speaker to be cut, or it makes your audience check their watches. Timing shows you respect their time. Practice with a timer and build in a buffer. Then avoid apologize for your presentation. Undermines your credibility before you start. Never start with sorry, I didn't have much time to prepare, or I'm really nervous. Apologizing tells the audience to expect mediocrity. If you make a small mistake, just correct it and move on. No apology needed. Confidence, even if it's a bit fake, works. Avoid memorizing every word. It sounds robotic. You panic if you forget. Memorization seems safe, but it backfires. One forgotten line can derail your whole presentation. Instead, know your structure, your main points and transitions, and speak naturally from your knowledge. It sounds more authentic and is easier to recover if you lose your place. And avoid end with that's it or I'm done. Weak conclusion misses opportunity to reinforce message. Your conclusion is your final chance to leave an impression. That's it. Fizzles. Instead, close with a strong summary, a return to your opening idea, or a call to action. And with purpose, then pause, smile, and say thank you. The dots are easy to fall into, especially when you are nervous, but awareness is the first step. Pick one or two to focus on during your next practice session. Over time, these habits will become second nature. A great presentation isn't just about what you say, it's about how you organize it. A clear structure helps your audience follow your ideas and to remember your message. This slide gives you a simple three-part blueprint that works for almost any academic presentation. Introduction. The introduction is your opening. Its job is to grab attention, introduce your topic, and state your thesis or main argument. Think of it as setting the stage. You might start with a surprising fact, a question, a short story, or a bold statement. Then you give a roadmap. Tell the audience what you will cover. If you have 10 minutes, your introduction should be about 1 to 1.5 minutes. Then, body. This is the heart of your presentation. Here you present your main points with evidence and examples. Organize your ideas logically, chronologically, by theme, or by building an argument. Each point should flow naturally to the next. Use your slides to highlight the key difference, the key evidence, data, quotes, visuals, and avoid information overload. Focus on the most compelling support. For a 10 minutes talk, the body takes about 7 to 8 minutes. Conclusion. Your conclusion does three things: summarizes your main points, reinforces your message, and ends memorably. Don't just trail off or say that's it. Restate your thesis in a fresh way, then leave the audience with something to think about: a call to action, a powerful image, or return to your opening hook. A strong conclusion makes your presentation stick. In a 10-minute talk, spend about 1 to 1.5 minutes on the conclusion. The percentages on uh, the slides, on the slide, are guidelines, not strict rules, but they help you balance your presentation. Many presenters spend too much time on the introduction or rush the conclusion. When you budget your time, you ensure you have a room to develop your evidence and finish strongly, not get not get cut off by a timer. If you have, for example, a 15-minute presentation introduction, 1.5 to 2 minutes body, 10 minutes and a half to 12 minutes. Conclusion, 1.5 minute to 2 minutes. And so practice with a timer to get a feel for the pacing. Structure isn't just for your audience, it's for you too. When you know your three parts and roughly how long it should take, you are less likely to get lost or go over time. Use the structure as a backbone that builds your content around it. Visual ads can make your presentation clearer, more engaging, and more memorable, but only if you use them well. The wrong tool or cluttered slides can actually hurt your message. These slides gives you an overview of four popular tools, what they are best for, and a few tips for each. Let's walk through them. PowerPoint, best for professional formal presentations. PowerPoint is the classic choice. It's reliable, widely compatible, and easy to use. For academic or business settings, it's often the safest option. Keep slides simple, avoid overusing built-in templates. They can look generic. Use consistent fonts, minimal text, and high quality images. Your slides should support your speech, not become the speech. Then Canva. Best for creative, visually engaging slides. Canva gives you beautiful design templates, lots of uh, visuals and flexibility. It's great when you want your slides to have a polished, modern look without being a designer. Canva makes it easy to add animations and transitions, but Don't overdo it. Flashy effects can distract your audience from your content. Use them sparingly to emphasize key points. Prezi, best for dynamic, non-linear presentations. Prezi uses zoom-in canvas instead of slides. It can help you show relationships between ideas or create a sense of movement. Only use Prezi if you are comfortable with the software. The zoom in motion can cause motion sickness for some audience members if overused. Keep the movement smooth and purposeful, not that design. Design. Google Slides, best for collaborative cloud-based work. Google Slides shines when you are working in a team. Everyone can edit in real time, command and see changes instantly. It's also free and accessible from any device. Sharing is easy, but be careful with permissions. Also, if you present from your own device, test the internet connection beforehand or enable offline mode. No matter which tool you use, follow this principle. Less text is more. Use bullet points, keywords, or visuals, not full sentences. Your audience should listen to you, not read your slides. Use high quality visuals. Blurry images or low resolution graphs look unprofessional. Keep it consistent. Use the same font, color scheme, and layout throughout. Have a backup. Save your presentation as a PDF or bring a USB drive. Technology fails, be prepared. Choosing the right tool. Ask yourself three questions. What is the context? Formal conference, classroom, team project. What do I need? Collaboration, design flexibility, or reliability? What am I comfortable with? The best visual ads or the best visual aid is one you can use confidently without technical hiccups. Confidence doesn't happen by accident. It comes from preparation. The work you do before you present determines how you feel when you stand up in front of your audience. This slide gives you 5 essential steps to prepare. Each one builds your confidence and professionalism. Let's go through them. First, practice out loud. Don't just read in your head, hear how it sounds. Reading silently in your head feels easy, but it doesn't prepare your mouth or your ears. When you practice out loud, you discover phrases that sound awkward when spoken, words you stumble over, places where you naturally need to pause. Your brain processes spoken language differently than written text. Practicing out loud makes your delivery smoother and helps you sound natural. Time yourself. Just if you are too long or too short. You have probably sat through a presentation that ran over time. It's uncomfortable for everyone. Timing yourself prevents that. Use your phone or a stopwatch. Run through your full presentation out loud and note the time. If you are over, cut content. If you are under, add more detail or slow down. Aim to finish slightly under your allotted time to leave room for pauses, questions, or unexpected moments. Record yourself. Watch for nervous habits, swaying, fat getting. This step can feel uncomfortable, but it's incredibly effective. Set up your phone and record the practice run, then watch it, not to criticize yourself harshly, but to notice. Are you swaying back and forth? Do you fidget? Um, do you fidget with your hands or clothes? Do you say or frequently? Is your eye contact consistent? And so on. Once you see these habits, you can work on replacing them with calmer, more focused delivery. Then present to a friend. Get feedback on clarity and pacing. At a fresh set of ears catches things you miss. Ask a friend, roommate, or classmate to listen to your presentation. Tell them to be honest, not just it was good, but specific. Was anything confusing? Did I speak too fast or too slow? Did the slide support what I said? A practice audience also simulates the real experience of having people watch you. That alone builds comfort. Then know your opening. First 30 seconds set the tone, memorize them. The beginning of your presentation is when your audience forms their first impression. If you stumble or seem unsure, they may tune out. If you start confidently, they will trust you. Memorize your opening few sentences, not like a robot, but enough that you can deliver them smoothly even if you are nervous. Now, your first line, your topic introduction, and your thesis. Once you get through that opening smoothly, the rest feels easier. These 5 steps aren't optional extra. They are the foundation of a confident presentation. When you have practical out loud, timed yourself, recorded, and watched presented to a friend, mastered your opening, um, you walk into the room knowing you are prepared. That knowledge is what makes you look and feel professional. You have prepared, you have practiced, and now it's time to deliver. This slide gives you 6 techniques you can use while you are presenting to stay calm. Connect with your audience and come across as confident and professional. Let's walk through each one. First, eye contact. Look at different people around the room. Eye contact builds trust and engagement. Instead of stare, of instead of staring at your slides or scanning the ceiling, pick out individual faces. Hold eye contact for a few seconds, then move to someone else. Spread your attention around the room. Left, center, right, front, back. When you connect with people, they feel like you are speaking to them, not at them. Then, volume. Speak louder than you think you need to. Most nervous speakers speak too softly. If you think you are shouting, you are probably at normal volume. Project your voice to the back of the room. This not only helps everyone hear, but also makes you sound more confident. If you have a microphone, speak at a normal conversational level, but still with energy. Then, pace. Slow down, nervous speakers rush. When we are nervous, we speed up, but fast pace makes it hard for the audience to follow. Consciously slow down, pause between sentences. If you feel like you are speaking too slowly, you are probably just right. Slowing down also gives you time to think and makes your words land with more weight. Gestures. Use hands naturally to emphasize points. Let your hands move naturally as you speak. Gestures can emphasize key ideas, show relationships, or add energy. For example, when you say, first, hold up one finger. When you contrast two ideas, move your hand from left to right. Avoid keeping your hands in your pockets or clasped stiffly behind your back. Natural gestures make you look more comfortable and help keep the audience engaged. Then, pause. Silence is powerful. Use it after key points. A pause feels long to you, but to the audience, it signals confidence. After you say something important, a key finding, a bold statement, transition, stop for 2 or 3 seconds. This gives the audience time to absorb the idea. Pausing also helps you avoid filler words like and ah. Embrace the silence. Then breathe. Deep breaths calm nerves and improve voice. Before you start, take a slow, deep breath. If you feel nervous during the presentation, pause and take another. Deep breathing slows your heart rate, steadies your voice, and clears your mind. It's the simplest tool you have to manage anxiety, and it works. So these 6 techniques work together. When you make eye contact, you feel more connected. When you slow down and pause, you sound more thoughtful. When you breathe deeply, you stay calm. You don't have to master them all at once. Pick one or two to focus on during your next presentation and build from there. Nerves are normal. Even experienced speakers feel them. The key isn't to eliminate nervousness, it's to manage it so it doesn't control you. This slide shows 5 common symptoms of presentation anxiety and what you can do about each one. First, racing heart. Deep breaths before starting. Your heart pounds because your body is preparing for a perceived threat. The simplest fix: breathe. Before you begin, take 3 slow deep breaths in through your nose, hold for a moment, out through your mouth. This activates your um, uh, parasympathetic nervous system and slows your heart rate. If you feel your heart racing during the presentation, pause and take another deep breath. Then shaking hands. Hold notes or clicker. Avoid holding paper. When your when your hands shake, it's noticeable if you are holding a large sheet or paper or a loose page. Instead, use a clicker to advance your slides. It gives your hands a purpose. If you need notes, use small index cards or a few bullet points on one card. Holding something sturdy reduces the visible tremor. Avoid flimsy paper that amplifies movement. Dry mouth. Have water nearby. Nervousness often dries out your mouth, making it hard to speak clearly. Always bring a bottle of water to your presentation spot. Take small sips during transitions or when you feel your mouth getting dry. It also gives you a natural reason to pause, which can help calm you down. Mind going blank. Pause, look at notes, take a breath. This is a terrifying feeling. Suddenly you can't remember what comes next. Resist the urge to panic. Instead, pause. Look at your notes or your slides. Take a deep breath. The audience usually doesn't realize you have lost your place. They just think you are pausing for emphasis. Once you have regrouped, continue. Having a few bullet points on an index card or speaker notes can save you in this moment. Then speaking too fast. Consciously slow down. Put a sticky note reminder. Nervous speakers almost always speed up. To counter this, put a sticky note on your laptop or with a single word, slow. Seeing it reminds you to pause, breathe, and let your words land. You can also mark your notes with reminders like breathe or pause. Slowing down makes you sound more confident and helps your audience follow your ideas. So nerves are a sign that you care about doing well. That's a good thing. This technique gives you control over the physical symptoms so you can focus on your message. Practice them during your rehearsal so they become second nature when you are in front of an audience. The question and answer session is often the most nerve-wracking part of a presentation, but it's also your chance to show depth, engage with your audience, and reinforce your credibility. So, this slide gives you 5 simple tips to handle questions like a pro. First, listen fully before answering. Shows respect and ensures you understand. When someone asks a question, resist the urge to start formulating your answer before they finish. Listen all the way to the end. This shows respect and ensures you actually understand what they are asking. Often the first half of a question sets up the real point in the second half. If you jump in too early, you might miss it. Then, repeat the question if needed. Helps audience hear it, gives you time to think. Repeating or paraphrasing the question does two things. First, it makes sure everyone in the room heard it, especially important in a large space or if the questioner spoke softly. Second, it buys you a few seconds to gather your thoughts. It also lets you confirm that you understood correctly. So you are asking about the methodology I used for the data analysis, then uh, following your answer. Answer concisely. Stay on topic, don't ramble it. It's easy to start rambling when you are nervous, so keep your answer focused and to the point. Address the question directly, give the necessary detail, and then stop. If you feel yourself drifting off topic, pause and ask yourself, did I answer the question? A concise answer sounds more confident and keeps the question and answer moving. Then, if unsure, say, so that's a great question. I will look into it. You don't have to know everything. If you are asked something you can't answer, don't fake it. Instead, acknowledge the question positively by saying, that's an excellent question. I don't have the data on that right now, but I will look into it and follow up. This is honest, professional, and leaves a good impression. And you can also invite further discussion after the session. Then thank the questioner. And on a positive note, also, always thank the person who asked the question. A simple thank you for that question shows appreciation and keeps the tone respectful. If it also gives you a natural way to signal that you are moving on to the next question or closing the session. The question and answer is part of your presentation, not an interruption. When you handle questions with patience, honesty, and respect, you leave the audience with a strong final impression, often stronger than the presentation itself. So, we have covered a lot today. Let's take a moment to bring everything together. First, we talked about referencing. It's not just a rule to avoid plagiarism. It's how you give credit, build your credibility, and show your reader that your work is grounded in solid research. We then focused on APA style, a specific system with two components, in-text citations and a reference list. Mastering it makes your work look professional and allows others to verify your sources. Next, we looked at proofreading. This is the step where you catch sentence fragments, grammar errors, wordiness, and inconsistency. Well-proofread, well-proofread essay is clearer, more persuasive, and shows attention to detail. Finally, we covered our presentation skills. Whether you present in class or at a conference, knowing how to structure your talk, use visual aids, handle nerves, and answer questions turns your hard work into a compelling spoken experience. All these skills, writing, citing, proofreading, presenting, work together. When you master them, you are not just completing an assignment, you are communicating your ideas with authority and professionalism. The final line on the slide here says, strong writing plus careful proofreading plus confident delivery is academic success. That's the formula. Each part matters. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments.